All right, all right, all right. Good evening, everybody. This is a sudden broadcast because there is very, very interesting news that has happened. There's been a coup in Madagascar, uh, a country off the coast of Mozambique in southern Africa. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. Let me just make sure that all my mics are fine. Okay. Was not fine. Let me just make sure that my microphone points. All right, guys. So we have I think that my phone was ringing. Okay. A coup, another coup. That is what we're dealing with. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. It's in Madagascar. So I'm going to wait for people to trickle in before we will get into this in earnest. But listen, guys. Look, it's. I think the funny thing is, like, this is a country that most people do not know about. It's a country that isn't spoken about that much when it comes to Africa, but it is right next to a lot of countries that have had a massive amount of upheaval over the decades, post-colonialism, during colonialism, and so on and so forth. Because, as I said, it is literally right next to Mozambique. So it is obviously a very, very influential area, surroundings in Africa. Okay, so like I said, just make yourself comfortable as you come in. Make yourself comfortable. Let me make sure that everybody is live and direct. Getting everybody on the watch. Okay, here we go. Why isn't this working? Really? That is so... Oh, wow. Well, it looks like my stream did not broadcast to... My stream did not broadcast to my Substack, unfortunately. I might have to go to my Substack independently. That is so annoying. Guys, it is so frustrating when I do this RMTP thing. You think it's going to work, and it just doesn't do what it's supposed to do. I saved the... Let me see if it's... Oh, it is working. Oh, it is working. That's strange. So it is working. So if you're on Substack, you're actually able to see me. For some reason, it wasn't delivering the link, but I can see that it's actually functioning correctly. If you can hear me on Substack, please write in the comments that you can hear and see me. I actually thought I did not have you on lock. I thought I did not have you on lock. But I see that you are there. And we also have Instagram in the house as well, who have just joined. Guys, Madagascar has had a coup. And you know what's so funny about the coup in Madagascar is that we're going to talk about a few things. I'm going to give you the history of sort of the update of exactly what has happened. But what I'm also going to do is draw the parallels between what has happened in Madagascar and what has been happening in Kenya, what is happening in Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, and the kind of wave that is going across all of Africa. The more and more that the more days that go by. I mean, it is becoming a wave. It is becoming a wave. If you're on Instagram, hi, welcome to the show. If you're on Substack, hello, welcome to the show. Kayodel Ogunti Mehin, can you hear me okay? Tom Kudla, can you hear me okay? Good. So yeah, guys, we're going to be talking about the coup in Madagascar. As we wait for people to come in, please make sure that you are subscribed wherever you're listening in from. Make sure that you are subscribed and following wherever you are listening in from. If you are a follower and you're not subscribed, make sure you are a subscriber. Make sure you are all signed up to my newsletter. Very, very important that everybody is signed up to my newsletter. As always, thank you so much to everybody who's picked up a copy of The Crusaders. If you're on Instagram, you can just type the word Crusaders in the chat. I will DM you the information to pick up your copies. Sold out of the first run, almost sold out of the second run. Very, very successful launch of The Crusaders, about the family of Africans going out into the world to reclaim stolen artifacts and return them back to Africa. I'll be playing the trailer later on in the show for those people who do not know what is going on with The Crusaders. Instagram, what's up? How are you doing? Son of God says the age of Aquarius is upon us. Something is happening. I mean, there is definitely something happening in Africa. Like there's something in the water, you know? Listen, let me tell you something, right? I'm not a prophet, so I'm not claiming to be a prophet. In my State of the African Union address at the beginning of the year, I said this is the year Africa rises. I actually said it. I said things are happening in 2025. That has come to pass. Everything I said was going to go down has gone down. Everything I said was going to go down has gone down. And counting. We're not even at the end of the year yet. Joseph Beasley, let me see what he's saying. So I should get rid of those sunglasses. Need to see your eyes as part of communication. A very simple suggestion. No. Next question. Anybody else with any questions? Anybody else with any questions or suggestions? Okay, good. You must be new here. You see, guys who've been around the block on the Mex channel know that they don't ask questions like that. Guys and folks, ladies and gentlemen who've been around the block on the Mex channel know that they don't write those sort of things in the chat. You must be new here. Any other questions? Any other questions? What you should be really interested in is the information being dispensed. Who cares about my shades? Why is that? That's an issue. Listen to what I'm saying. Like that's, and listen, you know what? I don't want to be disrespectful because I don't know how old you are. So I'm always very careful because we're Africans here. I don't want to disrespect my elders in case you are an elder. So I'll be careful. But at the end of the day, you know, what are we focused on? What are we focused on? We're talking about a coup and we're talking about shades. We're talking about a coup and we're talking about shades. Let me pull up this article. Guys, I'm giving you guys 5 minutes. Okay, 3 more minutes. I always give 10 minutes at the top of the show for everybody to get situated. Have you got your drinks ready? Are you sitting where you're supposed to be sitting? Have you made your introductions in the chat? That's an important factor. Have you made your introductions in the chat? If you haven't made your introductions in the chat, you shouldn't be here. If you haven't made your introductions in the chat, you shouldn't be here. They are agents of the matrix. They reveal themselves easily, Son of God says on Instagram. Listen, you know what? As I said, people learn the more that they come onto my platform. They learn that this is not like the other Pan-African platforms. I don't really have time for all of that sort of stuff. So people learn the hard way. You've seen I've taken souls, I've taken voices regularly. I do that regularly. People learn the hard way. I'm not a people pleaser. Time to shift the mothership. How are you? How are you? Time to shift the mothership. I need to bring you on the show a bit later on. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the broadcast. Welcome to the broadcast. In fact, I should give the link to this show to my 300 members. Let me put the link to the show to my 300 members. Now, I should do that. What do you think about USA propaganda about Christian genocide in Nigeria, while Muslims are also being killed? That's a very big topic, and it's something that I will definitely talk about. Very, very important topic, and it's something I will talk about. We have another message here. It's your message that we are interested in, not what you're wearing. Thank you, Does Mock 16. Who cares about exactly? It's not a fashion show. I'm not a supermodel. I could be, though. I could be. But I'm not a supermodel. Who cares about what I wear? Anyway, I think that we're on 10 minutes now. Yep, let's get into this show. All right. Listen, guys. Madagascar had a coup. Madagascar had a coup. We're going to talk about this story. We're on the 10-minute mark. Let's get into this story. Let's get into this story. Let me make sure that my audio noise cancellation is on. Okay, good. All right. Let's get into this story. Where is that story? Madagascar. There we go. There we go. There we go. Which page do I want? Why is that not coming up? I want that page. Where is the page? Madagascar military coup. Where is it? That's the page I want. No, I want this other one. Yeah, that's the page I want. Let's get that page up. For some reason, it's not coming up in my Chrome tab window. Why is this not coming up in my Chrome tab? That's weird. Builds Madagascar. There we go. There it is. All right. Let's come up in my Chrome tab. There we go. There we go. All right. All right. All right. All right. All right. Guys, this is big, guys. It's big. It's big because of this context that we're dealing with in relation to what's been going on across the continent. It's big in the context of what we're dealing with across the continent. That's the reason why this is a big deal. That is the reason why this is a big deal. So we're going to read up. We're going to read up on this. We're going to read up on this, guys. Everybody get your notepads ready. If you're on Instagram, get your notepads ready. Everybody who's on YouTube, get your notepads ready. If you're on Substack, get your notepads ready. We're going to do a deep dive. Get your notepads ready, everybody. Get your notepads ready. Welcome. Oh, welcome to you, Madzimuyo Amkesh Oji. Greetings to you too. Greetings to you too, Ashley Ogaro. Greetings to you too. Welcome from the Facebook gang. Welcome from the Facebook gang. My Facebook explosive. Let's talk about this. What to know about the Madagascar army colonel who was in the shadows before launching a coup? Guys, get your notepads ready. A little-known army colonel became Madagascar's president on Friday after a rapid power grab. A little-known army colonel became Friday after the army grab that saw him sworn in as the country's leader 6 days after launching a military coup. Here's what to know about Colonel Michael Randrianirina. Randrianirina. We got it. Randrianirina. Okay, we got it. Randrianirina. Who seized power following weeks of large anti-government protests by mainly young people. Guys, we're going to talk about that point. A former governor, he's from the southern region of Andry. Damn, that sounds like a Star Wars place. One of the Madagascar's poorest areas. And he served as his governor between 2016 and 2018. Before that, he was the commander of an infantry battalion in the neighboring Atsimo Andrafena region. Guys, this is big. Guys, this is big. Pay attention to what I'm saying, guys. Everybody get your notepads out. Everybody get your notepads out. Let's talk about that a little bit before we move forward. Let's talk about that a little bit before we move forward. Guys, you know what? The youth are taking over. Can we give a round of applause to the children of Madagascar? Let's give a round of applause to the children of Madagascar. The kids did it, guys. The kids. The youth. They were protesting because of the cost of living, the economic situation in Madagascar, and things got so wild that This is the results that we have. And it is all because of the youth. And they were doing it with the internet. This is what I was trying to tell folks about social media. Social media is going to change everything for Africa at this point. Social media is going to change everything for Africa at this point, people. Social media has changed the government of Madagascar. Social media has changed the government of Madagascar in 6 days. It did it in 6 days. Guys, what are we talking about here? Guys, what are we talking about here? 6 days. The government of Madagascar has changed in 6 days. Guys, what I'm asking you a personal question, the community. Explain to me what do you have to say about that? What do you have to say about that, people? 6 days. And it is because the young people mobilized on the internet, on social media, demanding that the situation economically in the country was unacceptable. Because people couldn't survive. Because people couldn't survive. It's not rocket science. It's not rocket science, folks. People couldn't survive, and that's the reason why they pushed this. Now, Ansuman Seskam on Instagram says, why doesn't AU talk to the migration that leaves Africa and dies on the way to Europe? They must stop this immediately. What has that got to do with what we're talking about? What has that got to do with what we're talking about here? Or you're just coming to just talk? What's that got to do with this? Guys, please understand the kind of platform you're involved with here. We haven't got time to waste on jibber jabber. Respectfully, because I don't know how old you are. You might be an elder. But we haven't got time to waste on that. What has that got to do with Madagascar and the situation we're talking about? Kayode Ogunsi, man, yeah, listen, amazing. Substack, amazing. It's something that, I mean, look, you know, the fact that these kids pulled this off that fast, the fact that these youngsters pulled it off that fast is actually incredible. I mean, I'm going to talk about tactically what's happened, you know, because it's not just that they demanded this. There's a strategy that is very connected to what I said about Kenya when Kenya had their uprising. This is very, very connected to that. And I'm going to talk about that in a second. But the first thing is really to acknowledge that, you know what, this is what happens when young people realize that they can actually make a difference. This is the result. What if those kids were sitting around saying that, oh, what can we do? You know, we don't have a voice. There's nothing we can do. And they just sat there. Where would we be? The leader that was there before would still be in office. And you know what? They didn't even want to have a coup. They were hoping that the guy would have just resigned. The guy refused to resign. And this is the result. This is the result. He refused to resign. Had he bowed out gracefully, we wouldn't be in this situation. Okay, let's keep going. Let me actually put a banner up. I want to put a banner up so people know. Actually, you know what? Nah, you know, we don't need to do that. Actually, let me see. Maybe a banner would be helpful so people know what we're talking about. There we go. There we go. There we go. There we go. All right. Now we're talking business. Now we're talking business. All right. So listen. A little known army colonel became Madagascar's president Friday after rapid background. Okay, we went there. And here's what we know about Colonel Michael Randrianirina. Okay, we said we already read through that. He was long been a vocal critic of Andry Rajoelina, the Madagascar president he ousted in a coup this week. He was arrested for attempted mutiny. Randrianirina was arrested in November 2023, just before that year's presidential election, and accused of planning a mutiny. Well, yeah, the accusation turned out to be true, didn't it? He was sent to the notorious Siafahi prison. He has said that he spent around 3 months in detention but most of it in a military hospital rather than the prison, which has a reputation for harsh conditions. They should have just kept him in prison, innit? I bet the president is regretting letting him out of the clink. I bet the president is regretting letting him out of the slammer, guys. I bet he is regretting it now. Well, look, like as I've said, let me put myself in the right position. As I've said, it's always important to, I'm glad because you want the youth to have been able to pull off what they, what's going on here? To be able to pull off what they pulled off. You want the youth to have been able to pull off what they pulled off. He was ultimately sentenced to a 1-year suspended prison term for undermining state security and was released in early February 2024 after Rajoelina was re-elected for a second term. Randrianirina said he was detained with another military officer and they retained their status as officers after being released. But Randrianirina said he had no command post to return to, and so I worked in my house, I cooked, I played soccer. Okay. He said the two were military officers working in the shadows at that time. It's not clear when he became the commander of the elite CAPSAT military unit that rebelled against Rajoelina and overthrew him. Randrianirina made his move last Saturday when his soldiers rebelled and joined the anti-government demonstrations, and he called for Rajoelina's resignation. His appearance riding on an armored car among protesters and accompanying them to a main square to demonstrate meant he emerged as the leader of the uprising, which before that time had no visible figure in charge. Randrianirina's military coup has been condemned by the United Nations and the African Union, which suspended Madagascar's membership. Those people are a joke, man. Like, honestly, the African Union, like, what? The only time these guys come to say anything is to condemn people. Africans, always. That's the only time you ever hear from them, is to condemn. How about you support somebody? The AU, man, the AU. Oh, my Lord. Wowzers. Wowzers. So anyway, guys, let's talk about the tactics that I wanted to tell you about in this story. So basically, look, this was a power grab of opportunity. It was a power grab of opportunity. You see, the youth protested, and they did not have Randrianirina as their leader. He didn't start the uprising. That is a very important detail. He did not start the uprising. The uprising began by the youth, but the youth had no leader. They were just making demands, but they didn't really have a leader. Remember when I told you about the Kenyan uprisings? And I said that the problem with the uprisings is that there is no focus for it. And I wish somebody would come out of Kenya to focus all that amazing energy that the Kenyan youth had, to take that and force change. Now you can see that all the work that they did has dissipated because nobody came out to utilize that energy and represent their interests. That is what Randrianirina smartly did. He was just sitting around and probably saw that, oh my goodness, I've got an opportunity here. I'm going to align myself with the wants and interests of all of these people who are protesting and say that I'm going to represent those interests and I'm going to get into power. And that's exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened. Very smart. Listen, it's going to remain to be seen if he will actually do the things that the youth are looking for. That's a whole different conversation. That's an entirely different conversation. But the positive thing, and this is what is really amazing about it, is that he identified what the youth needed, which was leadership, and he took it all the way to the bank. He took it all the way to the bank. Guys, what say you guys? What say you guys? Anitude, yeah, very, very smart. It was very smart. You know, it was a good move. A very, very good move. But as I say, you know what? When somebody does things out of opportunity, now my concern is, are you going to do the right thing? You know, you've taken this thing by opportunity now. Are you going to actually do what you said you're going to do? Are you going to actually represent these guys' interests? Or was this just really just a power grab for you, where you jump into power, you take over, and then you misbehave? That's what we really have to think about here, because, yeah, it's all well and good that you've taken power now, mister. But what are you going to do with it? What are you going to do with it? Are you going to use it wisely? Are you going to give the people what they're looking for? Are you going to be the people's champ? Or are you just going to turn into the same thing that these people have been crying out that they don't want anymore? Are you going to be the same thing that these people have been crying out that they don't want anymore? Yeah, guys, listen, we have to congratulate them. Galaxy Simone. Madagascar kids. It's not just a cartoon anymore. Most people, when they hear about Madagascar, they just think of the cartoon. Let me show you where Madagascar is. Hold on. Show you where Madagascar is. So for those people who don't know, let me get this thing out of the screen so you can see. Let me see. I put it right here. You can see that, right? Or let me do it differently so you can really see. I have to just get this banner out so you can really see. There we go. That's where Madagascar is, guys. You see it? It's right off the coast of Mozambique. So a lot of people don't know that it's part of Africa, that it's an African island. They don't know, But yeah, it is an African island. It's a country, but it's an island off the coast of Mozambique. So for those people who don't know, now you know where Madagascar is. I actually made a video about Madagascar on my channel that, a lot of people didn't see that video. But I made a video about Madagascar. Oh, did I make a video or was it an article? Maybe it wasn't a video. It might have been a thing on my newsletter that I wrote last year. Because I know that a lot of people are not aware of what Madagascar is. By the way, guys, as far as my because I said I was going to mention this about my Facebook thing. Guys, do you realize, I've been saying this, that my Facebook is almost at 100,000 followers. So welcome to all the Facebook people. That's in the space of the last 6 weeks, 6.5 weeks, almost 7 weeks, 100,000 followers in 6 weeks. That's mind-blowing. That's mind-blowing. Yes, you know what? Exactly. Exactly. That's what I'm worried about, that he's just an opportunist, and we have to wait and see if that's the case. But I am worried that he's an opportunist. I am worried that he's an opportunist. And that's a real concern, because when you come and just take power that fast, it's one of those things. And Itude says, hopefully he does the right thing. It was a great opportunity, but unfortunately, the problem is what most leaders do is they seize power just to serve their personal interests. Yeah, exactly. That's the worry. That's the worry. Let me bring some guests in on this conversation. So if you're on YouTube, you're going to see a link in the chat. Please click the link if you want to jump in with your thoughts. Make sure your camera's on point, your microphone is on point. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, because I'm going to connect this now with the Sahel Alliance. I'm going to connect this now with the Sahel Alliance. Okay? Paul Lefiolua, let's hope Randrianirina is going to be a good leader for them, because at least he refused to shoot the protesters. That make him a better human than the man that gave that order. Did he? I didn't even know that order was given. I didn't know about that. These people, man, you know what? Power is a very corrupting thing. Why are all of these people so against walking away? When you've been president for a while, I mean, like, my goodness. These guys get into the president's hot seat and they don't want to leave. Very weird weirdos, man. Weirdos. You get in there and it's not like even like you're treating the people well. It's not even like you're treating the people well. You're there misbehaving, treating the people like trash. And people say that get out of office and you refuse to leave. Let's talk about the Sahel Alliance, folks. Let's talk about the Sahel Alliance. Listen, what is going on right now is wild. This is a wave. It's a wave. Other countries are going to look at this situation in Madagascar and say, wait a minute, the kids pulled this off. There are guys who, and again, like I said, there's nefarious actors who are going to try and do power grabs, which is unfortunate. There are guys who are going to do power grabs, which is unfortunate. So we got to keep our eyes on the prize. But it's good that we have our networks that we're able to have these conversations because we're all keeping watch over everybody. We're all keeping watch over everybody. But what I'm going to do, we're going to take a quick commercial break. And when we come back, I'm going to talk about the Sahel Alliance and how I feel these things connect. Quick commercial break. African history was stolen. Over 4,000 African artifacts, ripped from ancient kingdoms across the continent, now sit in museums across Europe and America. Pay attention. In 1897, the British invaded and burned the Benin Kingdom to the ground. They exiled Oba Ovonramwen, who fought back against British colonization. And then, as payment for the invasion, the empire looted thousands of treasures, but they didn't get them all. The Oba took with him into exile the most powerful of those artifacts, the Sunblade, hoping one day descendants of Africa would bring it home. That's the premise for The Crusaders, a 6-part graphic novel series inspired by the colonial invasion, a fate shared by so many African peoples under colonialism and slavery. The Crusaders are a family of sibling heroes, a sophisticated heist crew reclaiming Africa's stolen treasures from around the world. Episode 1 broke into Amazon's top 30, and now episode 2 is finally here. There you go, guys. There you go. Make sure you've got your copies. Make sure you've got your copies of The Crusaders. Like I said, if you're on Instagram, type Crusaders in the chat. I will DM you the information to grab your copy. If you're on YouTube, it's linked to this video, pinned to this video, this live. You can also go to the shop on my channel. If you're on YouTube, if you're on Substack, you go to www.thecrusadersunite.com, or you can go to the alkebolandshop.com. You can grab yourself a copy of The Crusaders episodes 1 and 2. Make that happen, folks. Make it happen. Like I said, we're doing big business over there. We're doing big business. Yeah, guys, so this to me, which is why I said that the Sahel Alliance has a connection to this, is that there is an idea that has been pushed or that they're trying to spin of the Sahel being a renegade group of people. And they've tried everything, every trick in the book to paint them negatively, to paint them as despots, as tyrants. They've done everything, but it hasn't worked. And, one of the main reasons why it hasn't worked is because of us. Because of us. Hold on, guys. Some people were just messaging me. All right. It's because of us that has happened. Now, that means that the role that we're playing is actually now very important because social media is now creating government changes. Social media is now creating governmental changes. And for that reason, guys, we've got to be on our P's and Q's as a community online. Because the Sahel, I believe, inspired these kids to do what they're doing. I would not be surprised, especially the impact that that's had on Kenya as well, the young people over there. Because we know that this guy, like Captain Traore, is like the most popular president in Africa. And this is the reason why he's now so dangerous. Because This is the age of internet. You see, before, back in the day, during this Thomas Sankara era and the Gaddafi era and all that sort of stuff, there was no internet like this. Social media wasn't open source like this. So whatever the mainstream media said about somebody was the status quo. Nowadays, it's a whole different ballgame, folks. It's a whole new world, a new fantastic point of view. Anybody who's seen Aladdin? Whole new world. I should make that the theme song. That should be the theme song of Africa for 2025, a whole new world. I nominated for the theme song of Africa for 2025, a whole new world, because it's now become a domino effect. It's a domino effect. Now, of course, I'm not going to get too excited about this because, as we've already established, there's a lot of vultures out there and people who would use these opportunities to power grab, because for all we know, this is a power grab because he wasn't planning to. It's like, it's such a perfect thing for him that it makes you feel like, you know what, man, is this guy really for real, or did he just take a shot? In fact, let us do a poll. I'm going to do a poll. Let me do a poll. In fact, we won't do a poll. We'll just do it manually. I won't do a poll. We'll do it manually. Everybody listening in, we're going to do this manually. If you believe Randrianirina is for real, type 1. If you believe he's hustling, he's a hustler, type 2. For real, type 1, he's hustling. He took a shot because, he had the opportunity and he's hustling, type 2. 1, he's for real. 2, he's a hustler. Everybody type it in the chat. I want to see where we land. 1, he's for real. 2, is hustling. Damn. Whoa, this isn't looking good. It's not looking good. It's not looking good for Randrianirina. It's not looking good for Randrianirina. 1, he's for real. 2, is a hustler. Guys, let's get your votes in. Oh my Lord, this is not looking good for Randrianirina. This is not looking good for Randrianirina. Guys, you guys are too harsh. Is it my fault? Have I hardened your hearts, my community? Have I hardened the souls of the Alkebulians? Have I hardened the souls of the Alkebulians? Because I'm seeing a lot of 2s. I'm seeing a lot of 2s. So what you guys are telling me is that you do not buy into Randrianirina. You believe he's hustling. Damn, that's cold, man. That is cold. You guys are a cold crew. You guys are a cold crew. So nobody believes he's for real? Seriously? Guys, everybody get your votes in. Everybody get your votes in. 1, he's for real. 2, he's hustling. Everybody who's listening in, get your votes in. I'm not seeing enough votes. All right, you know what? Guys are scared. As Dennis Grant says, as our eyes are open, we are more aware of what real leadership is. Yeah, I mean, look, I think if the community has spoken. Everybody says he's a hustler. Everybody says Randrianirina is hustling, but good Lord. Guys, you guys are cold. So that's it. We're not going to give him the benefits of the doubt. Are we not going to give Randrianirina the benefits of the doubt? Listen, let's think about this. Why do you believe Randrianirina is a hustler, but you believed in Captain Traore when he took over, or General Tiani when he took over, or Assimi Goita when he took over? Why do you believe Rand? Because we know about Gabon. I don't even want to talk about that because that was a complete hustle. Nguema. when he took over from Bongo. That was one of the biggest hustles in African history. In plain sight. That was a hustle in plain sight. So we're not going to talk about that. That was obvious. That one was an obvious one. Polifolua says, I choose to because he didn't lead the regime change, but I pray I'm wrong. Mason's diary, I just walked in. What are we voting on? Can you guys in Instagram tell them what we're voting on, please? Tell the Instagram people what we're voting on. When a child says the right thing, an adult steals the light to shine for himself. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know why people like to even do that sort of thing, though. Because you know you're going to get exposed. You know you're going to get exposed. So I don't know why people do that. Why put yourself in that position? Because you're going to get exposed. So it's a very strange attitude that folks have when they try and pull that kind of okie doke. It's a very strange attitude people have when they try and pull that okie doke. That being said, though, let us take ourselves out of that sort of environment for a second and say, okay, look, even if it is a hustle, let's go worst case scenario. So it's a hustle. We can at least look at the message it sends to the rest of the continent. So even if we say, yes, it's a hustle, it sends a very, very good message to the rest of the continent. Star Smith says he is not talking about the people. There doesn't seem to be citizen involvement in his new government, just absolute power for him. I agree. I think it's a hustle personally, but I didn't want to put my own thoughts in there. We know it's a hustle. I don't think he's going to last. I don't think he's going to last because he doesn't have the support of the international community. And unless he clearly shows why the youth and the people should support him, he won't last. The reason why those other people in the Sahel have lasted is because the people really support them. So it's very difficult for anybody from the outside or within to get to them because they've got massive support. And that's trickled down or trickled over to the rest of the world. So the rest of the world are really, really behind them, which makes them even more powerful. And when I say the rest of the world, I'm talking about the diaspora community. Obviously, I'm not talking about everybody because everybody sure as hell is not on their side. I can tell you that much. Everybody sure as hell is not on their side. I can tell you that much. But it's unfortunate, guys. That's what we're dealing with these days. That we've got to take the best we've got to take the best we've got. And you know what, guys? Star Smith, everybody who's Star Smith is not there. You're not even. I might do. You know what I might do? Because I wanted to have a separate meeting about an idea I have for. So you know that I'm doing the 300, obviously, and 300 Q1 project is out. That was the Crusaders episode 2. Crusaders episode 3 is now is now being produced. We are actually making episode 3 already. Episode 2 really successful. Like we sold out the first run. The second run is almost sold out as well. So it's going very, very well. Episode 2 of the Crusaders, and I'm now in the production of episode 3. We already had the votes for Q3, the project that's happening for Q2. And I cast the winning vote. But now people have been putting thoughts in my head as to whether I should have cast it another way. So I want to have a talk with the community because I had a very, very deep conversation with the 300 about a week ago. And now I'm having more thoughts about it because of what I have planned for 2026. So we're going to talk about that offline. So if you're a 300 member, look out for a ping I'm going to talk to you guys about that because of what I'm thinking of doing next year. In fact, no, I actually want to do it with so I'm going to do it with probably the paid members on Substack and YouTube and so forth, because I don't want to have the conversation in public, but I just have some ideas which would determine the direction that I go in for this Q2 project because of things that I want to bring into play next year. Because of some things I want to bring into play next year. And I'm very, very excited about it. Very, very excited about it. Let me see what we have here. It's his stance. I think he's emulating Traore, looking to get some shine. That's what Dos Smox 16 is saying. Yeah, everybody's looking at Traore and wanting to be the next Traore. But the guy, do you have his charisma? Do you have his messaging? Do you have his stature? Even the guys in the Sahel Alliance don't. That's a once-in-a-lifetime kind of guy. I'm glad that in my lifetime we got one. Because if you think about it, the last Traore was Gaddafi. But he's from the past. So when Gaddafi was taken out, he wasn't even a new guy. He was from the original guys. You see what I'm saying? He's from the original crew of Nkrumah and all those people. Sankara. Gaddafi came from that era. Mandela and everybody. So by 2011, he was the last of those people to be gone. So I can't really use him as an example because it wasn't like he was a new guy that came through that evoked that image and evoked that rhetoric. He was somebody from the past who happened to be the last man standing because everybody else had been wiped out of that crop of Pan-African presidents. Because I think, wasn't Mugabe gone by then or was he gone later? I can't remember what year Mugabe went, but once Gaddafi went, whether Mugabe was there or not, he was isolated because that was his last friend in Africa, because those two were really close. So once one went, yeah, it was over. Can you guys remember that? My memory is fuzzy. When did Mugabe go down? Like, when did he pass away? It wasn't that long ago, was it? Does anybody have that to hand? When did Mugabe get taken out? Or rather, when did he die? Does anybody have that to hand? Dr. Sherry Watts, how are you? Welcome. A non-truth seeker, you just got here. What are we voting for? Can somebody in the Substack fill people in on what we were voting on? Can somebody in the Substack fill people in on what we were voting on? Lordy, 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 lordy. Lordy, 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 lordy. Hold on. Let me bring somebody in here. Trying to bring somebody in. But yeah, man, look, it's wild times. Wild times. The link is in the chat on YouTube if you want to jump in. The link is in the chat. Click that link. I want to hear from you. Click the link. I want to hear from you in the chat on YouTube. Yeah, so, look, like I said, even if it is a hustle, let's say it's a hustle, we accept that. I think that there is a positive from this because I think it does set a precedent for a lot of other countries, where people are having the same kind of issues and they're looking for an opportunity to get themselves out of it. So I think on that front, it is actually a positive. I think on that front, it is actually a positive. Now, the question remains, because you have to think about where they're located. The fact that this is an island off the coast of Mozambique, how is he going to consolidate his situation? How is he going to do that? That's a very, very serious thing for him to consider. Is that, okay, you're there now. Who are your allies? Is Mozambique going to protect you? Like, because you're an island. So if the AU are now excommunicating you, the United Nations are excommunicating you, you need allies. And you know what's going to happen. Russia is probably going to step into the ring. Which, to be honest, if I was Vladimir, that would be a smart thing to do. It would be smart, because the reason why I say that is that it's not even so much about what he would physically do for them. It's actually more about optics, because then it becomes a narrative for Russia that anybody who is a liberating force in Africa, we support you. That's sort of the way that it starts getting played out. Plus, with Gaddafi, the diaspora didn't realize what he was. The West propaganda machine painted a different picture for us. A lot of us learned and realized the fact. Yes, exactly. You know, that was the issue with Gaddafi. And it's what I mean by social media made a difference. It's like, back then, there was no social media, so you just believed what you saw. Anything people said, you just believed it, because, or in the news or TV shows and films, because you didn't have anything else. Magazines say it's okay. Newspaper said it's okay. I'm telling you that if Gaddafi was, if it was today that they tried to do that, it would not work. If that was today, hell no. That would never work today. Never in a million years. It's impossible, because there is now too much information. The sad thing for him is that they took him out 10 years early. Had he lived for 10 more years, the awareness that people just have about what he did and what he was doing, back then, we didn't know about any of that stuff. I didn't know about it. I didn't know he was doing all of that. Yes, people talked about it, but there was no social media to really push that out there. So I had no idea how good things were in Libya. I had no idea how much money he was spending on the people and the social systems that he put in place for healthcare and security and housing and education. All of that was free. I didn't know that. I had no clue. All of that was free. So if we had that kind of information, of course, it would have been way more difficult for anybody to play the guy out the way they played him out. It would have been very difficult for them to play him out the way they played him out. It wouldn't have happened. And I think that is what is protecting these guys now. But for this person, I don't know if he has the kinds of allies that will give him the protection that he would need. Diplomatic neutrality is deterrence. Who in their right would attack one of the planet's biggest rainforests? I don't understand what you're saying. Stop censorship. I don't get that. You might have to clarify what you mean there. Dr. Sherry Watt says, did you hear that 16 military officers in Nigeria were arrested for attempting a coup earlier today? Really? Oh, wow. Really? Let me pull that up. Jeez. Nigeria begins probe of military officers. Wow. Oh, wow. Oh. Guys, let's change this topic real quick. Damn. Okay. Share this instead. All right. Thank you, Dr. Sherry Watts. Thank you for that. I didn't know this story. I did not know this story. We'll get onto that story in a second. Let me just finish this off for people. So for people who are coming in now, let me just bring this back up. and we'll get onto the Nigeria story in a second, because I'm going to have to change the title of the live. I didn't actually want to do that, but I'll change the title real quick, because that's big. I didn't know that. So yeah, guys, this is what we were talking about, and I was just taking a vote that Madagascar has had a coup. So we're going to wrap up this story now, because I want to jump onto this other one, which I did not know about, to do with Nigeria. So I'll jump on that in a second. But listen, man, and you know what's so funny about this is that it shows that the young generation don't think like us or the old generation. That's what it's showing. It's because you would think that because of the status quo and the way everything is, something like this wouldn't happen, because so much effort has been made to distract everybody with music, movies, entertainment, all of these things to distract people. That it's interesting that the people that you're trying to distract the most, aka the youth, are the ones who seem to be the most agitated and active in terms of pushing change. That's very interesting, because you'd usually think it would be the older generation. And when I say old, I'm not talking about the super old. I'm talking about the real, the 30-year-olds to the 40-year-olds and so forth, who would be driving these sorts of things. But the fact it's teenagers, that's interesting. It's teenagers. It's not even, we're not even talking about people in their mid-20s or late 20s. Like a lot of this stuff are teenagers, which is an extremely interesting phenomenon. So what we're going to do, guys, is that we're going to change this title to the Nigeria attempted coup. Bloody hell, I didn't even know that had happened. So we're going to change the title. Give me a second. We're going to change the title. Okay. Over. All right. We've got the title here. We've got the title here. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the title on YouTube. Damn. I'm going to add it to the title on YouTube. Let me do that. I won't change the title. Nigeria attempted coup thwarted and dramatic coup in Madagascar. Okay. Let me change this, guys. Give me a second. Of Nigeria has been thwarted and soldiers all right. And also on this show save. All right. There we go. I've changed the title. All right, guys. So what I'm going to do is I'm also going to change what I'm looking at here. I've changed the title. And we're going to change what I'm looking at as well to this Nigeria story. This is a developing story. Give me a second. So we're going to have to change that as well. This is so crazy. It's like there's a new thing every single day. There's a new thing every single day, folks. We've got to keep on our toes. I did not know that my own country had a coup attempt. All right, share this instead. Unbelievable. All right, there we go. Guys, we're changing topics now. We are changing topics. My system is refusing to stick on this. All right, there we go. Man, oh man. Man, oh man. Man, oh man, there we go. I'm going to have to change the title on Facebook as well. Jeez. Guys, what have we found ourselves in? In fact, I'm not even going to bother changing it on Facebook. I'll change it later. What have we found ourselves in? What have we found ourselves in? Nigeria. This was 11 hours ago, so this was today. This happened today. Wow. This happened today, folks. Nigeria Defense Intelligence detains Brigadier General, others officers over alleged coup plot to overthrow President Tinubu. Coup d'etat is an overt attempt by a military organization. Yeah, we know that. At least 16 senior military officers have been detained by the armed forces of Nigeria for allegedly planning a coup d'etat to overthrow President Tinubu, top sources have told Sahara reporters. While the Nigerian military, in a statement a few days ago, claimed the detention of the officers was linked to repeated failure in promotion examinations and perceived career stagnation, top sources revealed that they were actually arrested over a coup plot. Wow. Do you believe that, though, guys? Before I even go any further, what do you believe? Do you believe the official story that it was over administrative issues, or do you think it was really a coup attempt? What do you think? What do you think, guys? Do you think the official story is legit, or do you believe the rumors that it is actually because of a coup attempt? Let's take a poll again. 1 if you believe it, 2 if you don't. Put that in the chat, guys. 1 if you believe it, 2 if you don't. I didn't even know about this story till it was just brought to my attention during this live, which is why I've added it to the docket. That's why I've added it to the docket. I had no idea about this. This is news. This is news. Today isn't even the official live show day. Tomorrow is supposed to be the live show day. I might not even need to do a live show tomorrow at this rate. I might not even need to do a live show tomorrow at this rate, guys. But guys, do you believe it? What do you think the truth is? Do you believe that there was actually a coup attempt, or do you believe the official narrative? Let's see what we have here. Yeah, man. Wow. That's crazy. That is absolutely crazy. The Armed Forces of Nigeria wishes to inform the public that a routine military exercise has resulted in the arrest of 16 officers over issues of indiscipline and breach of service regulations. The Director of Defense Information, Brigadier General Tuku Gusau, had said in an ambiguous statement. Investigations have revealed that their grievances stemmed largely from perceived career stagnation caused by repeated failure in promotion examinations, among other issues. Some of the apprehended officers had been under jurisdiction for various offenses, either awaiting or undergoing trial. Their conduct was deemed incompatible with the standards of military service. However, a senior official of the Defense Intelligence Agency involved in the arrest told Sahara reporters that the officers led by an army brigadier general were planning to stage a coup and take over government from selfish politicians. Wow, man. He said the coup attempt was thwarted after an intelligence gathering by the DIA and sister agencies. The 16 officers were planning a coup. The military authorities were just being diplomatic in the statement released by the spokesperson. They have started doing secret meetings on how to overthrow the president and other top government officials, the source told Sahara reporters. Guys, Africa is a war zone now, guys. It's a bloody war zone. Yes, no, Star Smith. That's another conversation because this is the problem. There's too much going on. That's what the real issue is. There's too much going on. So we could be talking about what has been happening with the Christian killings in north of Nigeria. We could talk about this. We could talk about the Madagascar situation. We could talk about the Sahel situation, the South Africa situation. There's too much going on. There is actually too much going on. And it's difficult for me because, like I said, I'm trying now to focus on my historical material and not so much the current affairs, because I've been neglecting my historical material because of all the current affairs topics that have been coming up. But it's difficult because these things keep happening. It's difficult because these things keep happening. But I didn't know this. This is a surprise. I don't know what the truth, like you said, it's possible that this is not true. And they want to make out that there is a coup attempt to. I don't know, man. Listen, at this stage, I don't know. I don't know. At this point, it's all up in the air, man. Anything could be true at this point. Anything could be true at this point. Guys, we're winding down the show. So anybody who wants to jump on, let me know in the chat on YouTube, and I can bring you on to chime in before I shut us down. We're winding down the show now. Cameroon, well, yes, and that's like, I don't even have time to. The Cameroon situation is a joke. A close to 100-year-old guy is now going to be president again. Huh? Like, it's a joke. So that one, I could talk about that, but it's stupid. It's not worth the conversation. It's not worth the conversation. But yeah, guys, man, it's sad. It's sad what's happening. Really, really, really unfortunate. That we're in a scenario now where because I think this is the sort of stuff that as a community, we should have constant information being provided to us so we can make smarter decisions on what we need to do. The problem is that such important things are happening, but we're starved of info. We don't have any information to understand what's really going on. That's really what the problem is. That's really what the problem is. And there's, in a normal world, you see, when you're talking about making fun of people, lampooning them and everything, this is the reason why people who are now younger, from the younger generation, have such a problem trusting the West, because there are people who are so obviously inept in African politics that they don't touch. They don't comment on them. They do not ridicule them. The Cameroon president is somebody that you would think they would be cracking jokes about this guy 24/7. This guy's almost 100 years old. Nobody has anything to say. That's fascinating to me. And the thing that fascinates me the most is that you have to understand why people do not take you seriously as the media anymore when you do things like that. And I'm speaking just as a viewer. It's like when I look at you and you behave like that, I don't take you seriously. It's like, come on, man. If you're going to criticize the Sahel people, you're not going to criticize that guy? You're praising William Ruto and saying that he's the greatest president in Africa, yet there are the biggest protests in Africa are begging to have him overthrown in Kenya. It doesn't make any sense. The guy that you're telling us is so bad, there are the streets of the continent are flooded with his supporters. Captain Traore. It doesn't make any sense. It makes no sense. So sad, guys. It's really is a sad situation. But you know what? Look, we just keep going. And as I said, I have to do what I've got to do to try and balance the product that I'm putting out. Because to be honest, I mean, I put this show out because I think these topics are important. But to be honest, I should have been spending time actually putting together some other things rather than coming on live. And another thing about lives that I found out is landscape lives don't have anywhere near the reach of when I do lives that are vertical. Like the vertical lives, I think it's because of the discoverability, because it just pings up and your people who are just swiping are able to get it. But it's amazing how dramatic the reach is when you go vertical live. Because I've had situations with like 500 people, you know, just on the YouTube side of things when I go vertical. But because of what has happened, I mean, I think tomorrow, if I come on tomorrow, it will be about the Nigerian attempted coup. I think that is something that is definitely something that we should talk about. Anyway, guys, look, I'm going to clear off in a sec. Let me just give you the trailer, but I'm going to clear off in a second. I'll do a wind down right after this commercial.
Have you seen the movie 300? It's based on the ancient myth of 300 Greek Spartan warriors that defeated an army of Persians. Like the legendary Spartan warriors who faced impossible odds, I don't need an army of thousands. I only need 300 committed individuals. 300 people who believe and are ready to fund the creation of content that educates, inspires, and uplifts us. To do this in a forum that has absolutely no outside influence or algorithm. Each quarter, the 300 will decide what projects to create. Each quarter, they will provide the resources to make it happen. I'll set the base rate at maybe $100 once a quarter when the project is voted on, but any individual can decide to put in more. This isn't that different from Patreon, Kickstarter, or GoFundMe, but it's refined, bespoke, focused, and efficient. This will give me the freedom to do for my African and diasporan audience what I need to do and how I need to do it. Together, we'll create a system that cannot be censored, silenced, or suppressed. There can be no growth or survival without resources. Are there 300 of you willing to work with me to do what we need to do? If so, there is a link to the 300 form in my profile bio and in the description of this video, depending on where you are watching this. The world will not save Africa, and it never will. We must save ourselves.
Excellent, guys. Excellent, excellent, excellent. So we come to it at last, the turn of the tide. We are here. We're going to sign off now. You know, this was an interesting conversation. Some revelations have been brought to my table that I did not know about. So I'm glad that I'm now aware of what is going on in Nigeria. Goodbye, Miss Dr. Sherry Watts. Take care. Now that I'm aware of this, I'm glad because that is something that I'll be looking into for sure. I did not know that had happened. I think it's something that I should put out a video immediately about. I'll throw a video up on YouTube about this situation because I think it's actually very, very important. I didn't know that, I didn't know that this had happened. Nigeria, man, wow. Listen, it's precarious times, and I think that we need to be paying more attention as a community. We need to pay more attention. All right, guys, till the next time.